Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Beacon of Light podcast. My guest has not yet arrived, but we wanted to get started because we know all of you are looking out for some of that light tonight. So let's get this party rolling. I think everyone there, you've got this.
I'm April Tribe Juke. Welcome to the Beacon of Light podcast. I believe we are all made with light, and light is hope. This podcast brings authors who write stories of hope to all of you. Your journey to be inspired and amplified by these stories starts now.
Excellent. We have started now and we are ready. I started this morning's post with "You failed." How does that make you feel? That concept of failure is with us so many times. When we hear that, see it, recognize it, we can take a look and think, you know, maybe that's part of something that can help us change. If we look at our failures as places and opportunities to change, then we have done right. When I teach my students at school that it's really important to understand that learning and part of learning is to fail, right? That idea that we can't know everything, otherwise, you're not going to be taught. So, how all of us learn is through our mistakes and our fails. I call them learns because you really learn. You really learn something about what just happened. Sometimes we might look at that and think, well, I'm never going to, and then we fill in the blank. When it comes to things like drugs and alcohol, the impact on my life was big. I've never personally smoked, done drugs. I don't even know what beer or wine even tastes like. I don't even know what coffee tastes like. But I've seen the impact from many people in my life. And one was my first husband and his addiction and drive for more, for the numbing to do whatever was needed. Now, why people pick up the bottle, do drugs, it can vary. There seems to be an underlining something, and it usually has to do with pain that's not resolved of some part. You can analyze it down to a lot of different things. And Crystal Waltman's book is called Quitting to Win. Quitting what? Quitting that pain, quitting drinking, being drunk. What is the thing that we quit? Because I know we haven't quit the mistakes that happen. Why are we quitting? We're quitting moving away from the substance, right? That entraps us, enslaves us, hooks us in. We just want more and more and more. But there's something bigger along this journey. As I was reading Crystal's book, she really tells all and reveals in a very vulnerable way of how it impacted her life. There are many times when we have that opportunity to see the impact of something, whether it's good or negative, in our life, and think, are we going to embrace it? Take things moving forward? What's actually going to happen? We have to be brave enough to stand and to follow through, no matter what else is going on. We might think in our minds, maybe it's not enough, or maybe we are not enough. And honestly, we're not enough. We're never enough. I know, don't throw the socks at the computer. We have to be connected to something higher to help us understand how we are enough. So let me retrace that. We are not enough, especially by the standards that the world places on us. And then that demand and drive to do the impossible, to become the beauty, to become so skinny, to whatever it is, to grab this job opportunity, or become the CEO of that, or, be the astronaut, become the engineer. Anything that is within the grasp of what we desire is there, but we need help and support from something higher. That concept and idea of you're not enough really is there only for a short time, because that's the thing that the world says. And we're not. Christ himself even said, I had to come here, understand the pain and the suffering that's going to happen. And I'm going to pay for those mistakes, those learns. I've got you. So know that whatever it is, all that we can give is there, and he covers the rest. So learning how to quit something like substance abuse, alcohol, drugs, anything like that, we have to reach beyond something higher. We have to understand at our lowest low what can happen next. Now, I watched a family, my personal family, be damaged by other choices. And there's no control. You watch, you hope, and hope becomes a hook in itself. You wonder if, 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 if I only could, and fill in the blank. Really? Choices are so individualized. They need to come to it themselves. Crystal talks about the time as she was moving boxes and collapsed on the floor with such pain in her back, and knowing that she could not do anything else herself and she had to reach beyond. It's that point. It's a small window. It's a small window of our life. Just when a hand is reaching out, an opportunity to grasp it, to carry forward. There's something about that that allows us to really find what I call those pinpoints of light and lead it to that place, and then to the other, and the other, and the other. When we find that courage to just take one more step away from where we were, or to swim upward from the bottom of where we were, that is true freedom, true bravery, and true courage. For Crystal, as she made this journey, a part of it became a program that many of you are familiar with, which is AA. And it's not just a group, it's not just a time together. There is deep sponsorship, reflection, and understanding, and knowing the separation, and embracing the pain through the journey, to know that in the end, a new life can happen. Will the old life continuously call after you? Yes. Now, there is a movie that, for me, gives me a visual about this. It doesn't even really have to do with alcohol, but it does have to do with mental health. There's a part in the movie, back in the day, A Beautiful Mind, where John Nash is asked a question. He is the man that is suffering with schizophrenia and the hallucinations and the division within his own mind. And for him, especially as it was portrayed in the movie, the book is slightly different, but the idea here that was portrayed in the movie is as he's walking on the grounds of Princeton, he's asked the question, do they still come? Are they still here? Can you still see them? And the them that this particular question is asking about are the three individuals that you have seen within the movie. This little girl, a good friend, and then an inspector. And as he's walking, he carefully looks over and he sees those three. And he kind of curtly nods to them and replies, basically, they're always with me. That idea that those shadows remain is very true, which became part of my second book, Out of Darkness, and learning for myself about my own shame shadow. When you stand in light, naturally behind you, a shadow is cast. It will always be there as you stand within the light. So as you look forward into light, you are being guided into a beautiful path. You have the option to look behind you and to see that shadow. You also have the option to listen to it, to turn to it, and get swallowed up again within that darkness. Or, as the light has never stopped, you have the option to look forward and to come out of your darkness. Whatever the pain was, if it was from abuse, if it was from drugs or alcohol, if it was from, you can name the list. And I know many authors out there that have this challenge that they've written out, literally. They have written it out and have shared it as it has been a part of their life. And yet behind, it's still there. Not to torture or to taunt, but possibly to remind. When I asked Crystal about the desire, the drive to stay away and separate from drink, there's always that shadow that's there. But now if she knows there's so much more beyond. There's a part in her book and through other interviews that I've had with her that she shares that I never thought I would live to a certain time frame in my life, like certain years in her 40s. She never pictured herself living at that time. What a short life to never think beyond your 40s. That concept is really challenging for me because my grandparents, my great grandparents, they were centurions. So for myself, I'm just like, I'll just continue on with that. The goal is 107. We'll see if we make it. But to think about living in such life in the today, not understanding about a tomorrow, it's really moving and eye-opening. You can probably hear it in the voice. So I ask you out there, if you have anything that feels like it's entrapped you, if you need a journey of discovery, no matter what the pain or, like it says behind me, the abuse, could have been your own self abusing yourself through substance, through negative talking, through so many things. You can still stand. Remember to just face the opposite direction and to know that the light has always been there. Always. That's our step out of darkness. That's the idea of quitting to win. That's the concept to know that there is always more beyond if we're brave enough to reach and connect with something spiritual beyond ourselves. I know that to be a Heavenly Father and His Son Jesus Christ. Through the Holy Spirit, I am taught. What are you maybe waiting for? The concept, the idea, the blessing that we have to quit, to win, can't do it alone. You must have that support. We're almost built for it. When I become brave enough to face what I need to face, I find myself reaching and looking more towards that light. And that backwards tilt towards that darkness, I feel myself shifting more forward. So I hope all of you this evening will maybe take some of these words and some of the parts that I have shared about Crystal Waltman's book, Quitting to Win, and to find and discover what it is that you know and what you can do today. Follow those small pinpoints of light. Follow that. Maybe it arrives as a friend's text, as an answer in study, as meeting up with a friend, or even sitting by a stranger. Allow yourself to be filled with that light, no matter how small, and reach forward and forward. We are about out of time at this moment, and I want to thank you all for joining in here. Even though Crystal was not able to arrive at this time, it's fine. We'll try again. Point is, you have light within. You can amplify out what you have with others. To be clear on this part, I have learned over the time that we are filled with light. And part of that light is not all coming together with more and more light, but really, as we stand with others, our light helps to fuel a beautiful mirror or a lens. And this lens reflects the light of someone else. And that way you can amplify it. That amplification is how a lighthouse works. With one candle, in the intensity of the right lens and mirror, that small candlelight can stretch to over 20 miles. Who will you amplify today, tonight, tomorrow morning? What will make the change in your life to follow those pinpoints, to quit, to win? What will you change? What mistakes and learns have you experienced even today to know that tomorrow the sun will come out? Simple things, truly said. And when you feel truth, you know you have the opportunity and choice to follow it. In that following, you have real power and strength. And as you notice around on our journeys, you might want to link up arm in arm together and see who you can also amplify, reach, and help today. Thank you, everyone, for coming to the Speaking of Light podcast. We'll see you. Bye-bye, everyone.